Nearly 100 years after the death of the renowned scientist Galileo Galilei, a peculiar and somewhat macabre episode unfolded during the transfer of his remains to a new tomb within a Florence basilica. It was during this relocation that several of Galileo's fingers, along with a tooth and a vertebra, mysteriously vanished, sparking a centuries-long search for these relics. The eventual recovery of these items centuries later adds a curious chapter to the story of a man often celebrated as the father of modern observational astronomy. The tale of Galileo's missing digits is intertwined with the tradition of relic veneration, an ironic twist for someone who had frequent conflicts with the Catholic Church. Despite these conflicts, Galileo's contributions to science and his challenging of established views, such as his support for the heliocentric model, which placed the Sun at the center of the solar system, cemented his legacy as a pivotal figure in the scientific revolution. Galileo's life was marked by brilliance and controversy. Born in Pisa, Italy, in 1564, he initially considered a career in the priesthood before his father persuaded him to study medicine at the University of Pisa. However, Galileo's true passion lay in physics and mathematics, leading him to forsake medicine and dedicate himself to the study of the natural world. His work challenged the prevailing Aristotelian view of physics and the Ptolemaic geocentric model of the universe, bringing him into conflict with the Catholic Church. The Church's opposition to the heliocentric model, which Galileo supported, culminated in his trial by the Roman Inquisition and subsequent house arrest, a period during which he continued to work and produced some of his most significant writings. Galileo's death in 1642 did not immediately elevate his status. Initially buried in a modest tomb, it wasn't until the Church's stance on heliocentrism began to soften that efforts were made to honor him appropriately. In 1737, when Galileo's remains were exhumed to be moved to a grander tomb, several parts of his body were removed. This practice, while gruesome by today's standards, was not uncommon at the time and reflected the complex interplay between science, religion, and the veneration of individuals who had made significant contributions to human knowledge. The eventual recovery of these relics serves as a reminder of Galileo's enduring influence on science and the peculiar paths through which his legacy has been preserved. The practice of removing and preserving body parts of revered individuals, which might seem bizarre at first glance, has a long history, particularly within the Catholic tradition, where relics of saints, including organs and bones, are kept in churches as holy tokens. In this context, the removal of Galileo Galilei's fingers posthumously aligns with a tradition typically reserved for saints. Despite Galileo's contentious relationship with the Catholic Church, those who took his fingers viewed him as a secular equivalent of a saint, honoring him for his contributions to science and his dedication to the freedom of inquiry. According to Paolo Galuzzi, the director of the Museum of the History of Science in Florence, now the Galileo Museum, in a 2009 interview with CNN, this act of preserving Galileo's fingers was akin to the veneration of religious saints, celebrating Galileo as a hero and martyr of scientific thought and research. Galuzzi noted that such actions, although seemingly paradoxical given Galileo's persecution by religious authorities, are not unprecedented, illustrating the complex dynamics between admiration and opposition. The fate of Galileo's separated body parts, specifically his middle finger, a vertebra, and other digits, unfolded over the centuries. The middle finger was initially taken by Anton Francesco Gori, a Florentine scholar, and after changing hands multiple times, it eventually became a part of the Galileo Museum's collection. Similarly, a vertebra found its way to the University of Padua, where Galileo had taught. However, the whereabouts of the remaining fingers and a tooth remained a mystery for many years, leading scholars to believe they might be lost forever. This changed in November 2009 when Paolo Galuzzi announced that these missing relics had been rediscovered after being absent from public view for over a century. They were found listed in a Florence auction house's catalog, having been sold to a collector named Alberto Bruschi without initial recognition of their historical significance. The connection to Galileo was unexpectedly made by Bruschi's daughter, who, while researching Galileo's tomb, identified the astronomer's likeness on a wooden figure attached to the reliquary containing the finger, thumb, and tooth. This serendipitous discovery, facilitated by academic curiosity, brought these long-lost relics back into the public eye, further entwining the legacy of Galileo with the practices of relic preservation and veneration. Subsequently, Bruschi made contact with Galuzzi, who was immediately captivated by the discovery. Through an examination of historical records and the seller's documentation, Galuzzi was able to verify Bruschi's growing suspicion that he had inadvertently acquired Galileo's long-lost fingers and tooth. Galuzzi shared with CNN that a detailed account from 1905 by the last known observer of these relics provided a precise description of both the container and its contents. Remarkably, the jar sold in 2009 matched this description in every detail. Bruschi humorously speculated to the New York Times in 2010 that perhaps Galileo's spirit played a role in bringing these relics back into the light, suggesting a mysterious influence from beyond the grave. After authenticating the relics, the Bruschi family generously donated them to Galuzzi's museum, which had been undergoing renovations. When the Galileo Museum reopened in June 2010, it proudly displayed the newly reunited set of Galileo's index finger, thumb, and tooth, enriching its collection with these macabre yet fascinating items. Today, these relics attract visitors, prompting reflections on Galileo's legacy as a scientific icon rather than a religious figure. Within the museum's walls, alongside these human relics, are displayed numerous scientific instruments Galileo used, igniting wonder and awe. Among these is the armillary sphere, an exquisite device crafted from cypress wood and gold, used for mapping celestial rotations. The museum also honors other scientific pioneers, like Sir Humphrey Davy, but Galileo's fingers, especially, have captivated public interest, symbolizing either his astronomical achievements or his defiance against religious dogmatism. Galileo's fingers have inspired scholars and authors. Historian Alice Drager, in her book Galileo's Middle Finger, explores ethical dilemmas in medical research, drawing on the relic as a symbol of empirical science. Similarly, chemist Peter Atkins, in Galileo's Finger, The 10 Great Ideas of Science, views the digit as a beacon guiding us from ignorance to knowledge. Intriguingly, before the rediscovery of Galileo's missing digits, Galuzzi announced plans to possibly exhume the astronomer's body to solve mysteries about his life and poor eyesight, which some speculated could have affected his observations. Galileo's documented struggles with his vision have led experts to hypothesize that he may have suffered from uveitis, potentially explaining inaccuracies in his observations, like his unique description of Saturn's rings. Another enigma concerns the unidentified female body found alongside Galileo during the relocation of his remains in 1737, speculated to be his daughter Virginia. Resolving these mysteries, including Galileo's visual impairments, could potentially be achieved through DNA testing of the recovered fingers and tooth, initially thought impossible due to doubts about the presence of organic material. However, these relics might yet unlock answers to the lingering questions about Galileo's extraordinary life without the need for an expensive exhumation, offering a new chapter in the story of one of history's greatest scientists. Thanks for watching. Never forget to like, comment, and share the video. And remember to subscribe to channel and press the bell icon for regular updates.